Good day and welcome to another edition of One-on-One with Swope Health. I am your host, Eric Wesson. Thanks so much for joining us today. We've got a great show planned for you. We're going to talk about connecting the East Side. You know, the East Side was kind of disconnected due to 71 Highway, and you got one side of 71 Highway, and then you have the other side, and the other side has Prospect, and it's affected homeowners and businesses along Prospect. So joining us today are Earl Harrison and Selina.
That's right, yes.
The last name Selina. I'm going to leave alone.
Selina Zapata Bur.
Right, what she said. She was here with us the last time we talked about the 435 area and that disconnect that's going on over there, 435 and 35. So now we're going to talk about a subject that has been up, but maybe people not understanding what it's about, and that is 71 Highway. So tell us about connecting the East Side with 71 Highway, dividing it.
Well, currently we're doing a PEL. It's a three-phase project that was led by Representative Cleaver, helped us get the money to do this PEL study, and it was to look at developing options that we could take back to the judge and see if we could get the consent decree reversed, right? It was all, I think, based off of safety. There was a lot of accidents, high number of accidents, and Selina's team, determined that it was one of the highest crash areas, I think, in the city. We were able to get the money to start this study, and that was just the first step in making revisions, attempting to make revisions to the geometrics to fix the safety issues, the connection issues, and some different things.
So what are some of the feedback that you're hearing from people in the community about 71 Highway?
Well, we're hearing a lot of things, and as Earl said, we just started, a few months ago, started a planning and environmental linkages study. So we've been going out to the community for a few months now, maybe almost a year now. So we've heard a lot of different ideas about what folks would like to see along the corridor. We spent 3 months going out to different groups along the corridor and the community with like a roll plot and a map with different game pieces that folks could say, we want a trail here, or maybe there needs to be an overpass here. So a lot of different ideas, and we've kind of looked at all of those and synthesized them to develop our initial alternatives, which we can talk about in a little bit. But the idea is to kind of capture all those alternatives into 3 different buckets, and then further refine those in a month or so.
So one of the things that I always hear more than anything else is the stoplight, and why are there stoplights on 71? So have you heard a lot of feedback about that?
Yes, and in fact there was a game piece of a stoplight, remove stoplight. So we saw a lot of folks say we want to see these stoplights removed along 71. They're unsafe, they cause a lot of congestion. So that's one thing we've heard from folks, and which has fed into one of our alternatives to make 71 like a truer freeway without those traffic signals. We've also heard a lot of other things.
Like what? Give us some examples.
We would like to see it be a parkway, for example. Back when it was being built a few decades ago, the community wanted it to be more of a parkway, right, to provide that connection to the community and to Prospect. And so some folks want to see it be a true parkway and not this hybrid freeway/parkway configuration that doesn't quite work as well.
When you say parkway, give us an example of what that would look like.
Be more like your Ward Parkway area. There'd be signals at every intersection. So you'd have a lot of cross-street east-west connection access to 71, but you'd have a lot more lights. Right now we have 3 lights in the whole corridor. You'd have lights at every intersection going through. So the speeds would be a lot lower. I think it would benefit the public because it'd be more pedestrian friendly. So you could develop on either side of it to put some pedestrian amenities like parks and trails and different types of things for the public. So
Yeah, the idea behind the parkway is to provide connection west of 71 and east of 71 at grade, so at the same level, but also calm traffic down. So traffic calming.
So if 3 stoplights are a headache, imagine what one every block would be. And then that would mean that it would have to be restructured, right?
Yeah, and that really gets to kind of the wide range of things that we've been hearing from the community. So that's what our job is at this point, is to look at all those different ideas and develop kind of the full range of alternatives and then funnel them down into a smaller set that is reflective of community priorities.
So Earl, where are you from?
So originally I grew up in Iowa. I've been in Kansas City for about 30 years. I started my firm, HG Consult, in 2010. We're a small minority owned planning and design firm in Kansas City. I've got offices all around the country. So I've built my firm from just me and a partner to we're over 100 people now. So
Is that right?
So this is a very important project for us. I think it's one of the kind of a legacy project for my firm to be able to. When I came here 30 years ago, was right when the 3 intersections in the consent decree were done, and they were just finished building it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now to have the opportunity 30 plus years later to hopefully make a change, it was something that I jumped at, that I wanted to have an opportunity. So my firm decided to take it on, and Selina's been great as a project manager with the city, helping us along the way.
So 30 years ago, so you came here after high school?
Out of college.
Out of college, okay. And you went to college in Iowa?
Yeah, went to Iowa State.
Iowa State,
So,
okay. Buckeyes.
nope,
Oh, that's
Cyclones.
Cyclones.
Who are the Buckeyes?
Ohio State.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
okay. And so how you like it here?
Oh, I love it. I've been here for that long and never left, and it feels closer to what I grew up to, but it's a big city.
So when we talk about 71 and we talk about Prospect, the disconnect, the divide, because there used to be a lot of businesses that got a lot of traffic. So 71 Highway, is Prospect 71 on the map, or is it Prospect? Okay, and by this I mean if you're going south, and you're on 71, and you take 71 all the way through, that used to be Prospect, but it was also called 71. So now we have 71 Highway, or what we call Bruce Watkins Highway, but it's still considered 71 when you talk to people that live here. So one is governed by the highway department. The other one is governed by the city.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prospect.
Okay, Prospect is a city. MoDOT handles 71 Highway. So is there a difference, and will we just do away with 71 Highway, Bruce Watkins Drive, and just go to Prospect as being 71?
No, I think if we tear out US 71, we will replace it with something. It would, if we go the Parkway, then I think it would turn back into probably Bruce R. Watkins Parkway, or something of a name, right? I mean, some of that stuff hasn't been figured out. If we stay with the freeway, then it's going to stay as US 71, and MoDOT will continue to own the facility. If it goes to a Parkway, those are discussions that will need to be had. Will MoDOT continue to own it, or will the city take ownership? So those are things that need to be worked out down the line. But right now, we're just trying to figure out, as part of the PEL, is looking at all the different options. We have to look at every possible option that we can think of, and then whittle them down to a few reasonable or refined alternatives. So that's where we are in the
And
process.
Eric, that's a good question, because one of the things that we heard was some folks want to return it back to the grid. So just tear it out and put it back the way that it was. Maybe that's what you're kind of getting at. And so that is one of our initial alternatives right now, is looking at the return to grid. Since we kind of came out with the 3 different initial alternatives, the freeway, the parkway, and the return to grid, we've heard a lot from the community about that last return to grid option, and about maybe just, lack of support for it. I think some folks feel like, the highway was torn out decades ago. You can't really put people's houses back, is what we heard.
Right.
And so we're definitely taking that into consideration as we move forward.
And, a lot of people lost their homes in that transition. They moved them further south, and that kind of did a lot to the community. But I think one of the things that I saw when I was at Southeast and I was looking at the stations that you had, a lot of things I saw was public transportation going up and down that area. Some people had suggested rail or streetcars or light rail, and I know there's been a politician that's been trying to get rail through Kansas City, but that would be expensive. So how do we transition a change, and how do you say, okay, these are the ideas that people come up with, this is doable, this is not doable? How do you mingle those in to kind of satisfy the needs of the people in the community?
Do you want to take this one?
Sure, yeah. Well, do you want to?
So, I think what our team is going to do is, with each one of these different options, particularly the freeway and the Parkway Boulevard option, we're going to look at opportunities to weave or layer these types of things in there. Multi-use trails, looking at multimodal, transportation. That's bike, ped, that's transit, right? Where are opportunities that we can layer these in? Is there an opportunity for a rail corridor to be preserved within this facility? We have 500 foot of right of way. There's lots of opportunity for us to, preserve right of way or areas for these types of amenities. So we'll be looking at those opportunities. A lot of this stuff is down the line a long time, but preserving it and having a place for it to fit into this, refined alternative, I think is what we need to do, and make sure that we have this, and then we need to find champions that are going to champion raising the money, finding opportunities to fund these, down the line. So, anything to add there?
How would that change? Because a lot of people that live in Lee Summit, live in those areas, they use 71 as a route to get to downtown. So if that changes, where does that traffic overflow go to?
It would go to other facilities in the region. So, I-435 is one of those. We did do a traffic analysis to see how the different initial alternatives would affect the regional system-wide traffic. So, for example, I think if we turned it into a freeway, we would attract more traffic onto 71, and there would be a decrease on surrounding highways in the region. If we turned it into a parkway, we'd see somewhat of a decrease along 71, and then an increase on like I-435, for example. So folks would take other routes, and then. But
have people complained about that, having to go a different route, and they're used to going 71?
I mean, I feel like we have not heard that.
Mm-hmm. Really? Okay. But y'all haven't been out in the areas that those people are coming from.
We've had meetings with them, with the chambers, and we're continue to have meetings with that. And we've had some commuters that have come to some of our summits. Mm-hmm. And I think people don't like that, but they understand and they find other ways to go. That, regardless of what they do, they still have that same route. It's just, do they want that time delay?
Because stopping at every stoplight along the way seems like that would be time consuming, but it would also slow down the people coming through there, because sometimes you think you're on the Indianapolis Speedway coming through there.
Right.
But what about the environmental aspect of fumes in those areas where there's a lot of housing, like along 71? How would that help in that area with, kids saying they have asthma, or parents saying their kids have asthma based upon those fumes? Would that change that? Or with more greenery there to kind of absorb some of that, would that change that? Is that something that people have talked about?
Absolutely. We hear a lot about putting in green infrastructure, more trees. So those are things that we're going to be layering on top of the alternatives, like Earl mentioned, with transit and bike ped infrastructure. Green infrastructure is one of those things as well. Yeah, absolutely. One of the goals of this project is to improve public health along the corridor because of the ongoing and historic impacts related to the air pollution and noise pollution along US 71. And so because it's a planning and environmental linkages study, we are looking at those potential environmental impacts to help inform the development of the alternatives and where we end up at the end of all this.
Pause.
Yeah. The mayor's aide is out there.
Yeah, she's going.
Oh, okay,
She's going.
okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. No,
That's okay.
good. Okay.
I thought I had drifted again.
No, you're good. All right, let's wrap it up.
right
We got
here.
about 5 minutes.
Okay. In that, so with this transition and with the things that the people have given you all about connecting this all together and coming up with a plan and an idea, is there a concept that businesses would now be along 71, or is it just strictly going to be green space and landscaping?
No, we're definitely going to look at opportunities. This is not a project about Prospect, but we're definitely keeping in mind the synergy of how what we do on US 71 affects what's going on Prospect. We're not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize or hurt Prospect more. If anything, we're going to try to help Prospect grow and become, economically viable, like it was several years ago with the things that we do. So there, depending on if we do a Parkway Boulevard, there could be private housing with increased industrial or commercial development along there. And the same thing with the freeway. Like I said, we have 500 foot of right-of-way. We don't need that much to build the freeway or a parkway, so we have a lot of developable land on either side. So we're going to look at opportunities. We have a firm, Multi-Studio, who's on board. They're working on Prospectus right now, and they're going to help us look at opportunities for redevelopment, and that's either commercial or residential development opportunities along the corridor that can be best optimized with whatever alternative we do. So.
What's the one thing that you see when you kind of look at all the ideas and the post-it notes that people have? What's the one thing that you see that's common?
Oh man, it needs to be safer.
Yeah.
Everyone agrees that 71 needs to be safer, and the city agrees as well, and that's why we're doing this study. We saw that it was on our high injury network. I think in the last 5-year period, there were 10 fatalities along the corridor.
Yeah.
It's twice as dangerous as other Missouri highways, and so for those reasons, we really need to make changes, hopefully some short-term and some longer-term, more visionary changes. But that's the one thing that I feel is kind of constant from the community, and everyone agrees it needs to be safer.
So how do you construct it to make it safer? I mean, is there a plan? Will more stoplights make it safer, or do you have more rear-end collisions? Because I know the one, what is that, at 55th, coming down that hill, and then the light changes. Mm-hmm. Some people, when it changes yellows, they stop immediately, and then you got somebody that runs into the back of them. Mm-hmm. So is it constructed properly to possibly be safer?
Yeah, I think there's opportunities that we can. If we go a freeway and we take the 3 signals out, mm-hmm. now you have 3 or 4 lanes in each direction that are free flow, that are not
150
going through
miles an hour.
They're not going through stoplights, so they're continuing to just run like they were beyond 435. And the only place we'd have stoplights would be at the ramp terminals where people want to get off to 55th or 59th or Gregory, right? But there would be a free flow of traffic, so people wouldn't be having stop and go. Now, if we go the Parkway Boulevard, hopefully we've got traffic slowed down, right? Because you have enough signals that people can't build that speed up like they are now. Because there are long stretches where people can get up to high speeds and all of a sudden there's a stoplight that they don't really know is there because of some sight distance issues. We would put, build to slow it down because now we have more signals. So I think it would run safer after people get used to the stop and go. But you add different things in there. There's more congestion, more pollution probably as a result of the stop and goes, more noise. So there's different trade-offs for either opportunity.
And it's
or
also
options.
about like safety for our vulnerable road users, like our pedestrians and our bicyclists too. So with the highway, we're looking at options to make the highway or the freeway grade separated, and then we would have east-west connections for pedestrians, bicyclists, and cars to get across 71, maybe over or under, to kind of eliminate those conflict points that we currently have.
Yeah, that would be like 55th, 59th, 71, because there's a lot of people that come out Gregory as well.
Yes, Gregory is one of those spots that we'd like to address sooner rather than later because of the unsafe issues around Gregory and what the data is telling us about it as well in terms of accidents and crashes.
Yeah, you can just sit there on the corner. If you don't see an accident, wait a few minutes, you will. So, Liz, is there another listening session that's going to be coming up?
So sometime we're thinking February, March timeframe, we're going to have our summit number 4. And that's where we're going to unveil our refined alternatives. So you've got your return to grid, you've got your freeway, you got your boulevard. We're going to try to come up with the best alternatives in each one of those pots, and we will present them, and those will show the layering that we were talking about, transit opportunities, pedestrian amenities, parks, different maybe pedestrian overpasses, different things that are layered into it, the green infrastructure. So those will be more refined so people can actually see what an alternative will actually look like.
So if people want to give you some feedback or input, how do they contact you?
ReConnectEastside.com, I think I would say is the best first stop for that. We have a very robust website for the project.
Yep.
There's always an opportunity to provide comments on that and to ask questions. We have like an interactive map where folks can place comments along the corridor as well. So anything else you think, Earl?
No, and we have a team that monitors that. So, people may think I put my comment in and no one sees it. Well, we have a team that monitors the website, and they summarize and make sure that the rest of us know what those comments are.
And the other thing I'll add actually is the website has a calendar of events. So we go out into the community to do listening sessions or pop-ups, and those are all on there too. So if you want to catch us at one of those, you can do that.
Yeah, I think we've had probably north of 80.
We've had about 100
Yeah.
different engagements since we started. Which,
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's really great.
Selina and Earl, thanks so much for joining us today, and we look forward to maybe in a year when you finalize everything, coming back and giving us a complete overview of what we can expect to see happen if it's going to be a year.
Yeah, maybe by the end of this year, hopefully, or
Okay.
2026. I mean,
Okay, all right.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much for being here, and
Thanks a
thank
lot.
you for viewing. As always, I have the greatest viewing audience in the world. Till next time, remember, tough times don't last, tough people do. Until next time, peace.